Welcome to the Healthier Tech Podcast, the show about building a healthier relationship with modern technology. Now here are your hosts, R. Blank and Stephanie Warner.
Chris McPhie is a certified building biologist, environmental consultant, and electromagnetic radiation specialist whose passion is to empower others to create the healthiest living spaces possible. He takes a holistic view of helping others clean up their indoor environments and focuses heavily on EMF education as a whole. Chris believes it is within everyone's power to create a healthier and more health-promoting space, and he is here to help us along that journey. Let's welcome Chris to the Healthier Tech Podcast as he shares his knowledge with us today. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
It's going wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm very excited to speak to you all today.
Oh, no, it's great having you. So let's just dive right in. What first made you aware of EMF as an issue? Has it been something you've been doing like your whole life, or was there like a moment?
Yeah, there was a moment actually. It was with my so I've got two children, 5 and 8 currently. When my eldest was 2, so about 6 years ago now, we were at our doctor's office, and she was doing some testing to see some general testing to see where there might be some imbalances or just areas of focus. And EMF exposure came up, and it was something that I had vaguely heard about before, but the comment that really sort of struck me as, oh, this might be something important. She says, yeah, but this comes up for everyone. And I was like, well, that doesn't seem good. Like, yeah. everyone has this problem. Like, maybe there's something more here. So that really just sort of was a seed that was planted, and I quickly just started doing some researching. And it was over the next 1 or 2 years that I became very much engrossed in the whole material. I was fascinated. I was blown away that there was so much material out there and on the same token that I had scarcely ever heard of it. I didn't really know what these letters stood for, and it was really eye-opening for me. And so that really began my journey. And I was teaching elementary school at the time, and I was seeing a lot of issues in children, which was concerning. And so I really felt called to try and help out in a sort of broader scope as to what might be going on health-wise here. And yeah, the rest is sort of, I went down and started to become more familiar with building biology and feel called towards that path. And that's sort of where it all started. So it was a concern with my daughter that started it off, and then the research that really sort of gave it a backing that made me think, oh wow, there's something here that really needs a little bit more awareness.
And just out of curiosity, what kind of doctor was that? A lot of doctors wouldn't.
Right. That was shocking to me that a doctor actually said this is something that comes up for everyone. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, so she is a naturopathic doctor. So someone who's generally a little bit more open to these sort of ideas, perhaps. And so she was doing some auricular testing, which is a testing methodology that she learned in Germany a few decades back. And that was the testing that she was doing for our daughter. Yeah, so I know. Otherwise, I'm not sure, you might not be as accustomed to getting that from an allopathic doctor, I would imagine. Yeah.
So you had this moment and you started on this journey, and I want to get to that journey, but I'm just wondering, like, were there things you started doing right away with your kid?
Yes, absolutely. So I tend to sort of jump into things very quickly and become slightly obsessed, what my wife would say, on certain topics. And so I was very quick, and I tend to change very quickly. It's no problem for me, and I sometimes aren't as appreciative of the fact that I have an entire family that also has to change with me. So I tried to get us to wired right away. I tried to really start to, I guess, no, sorry, let me step back. I didn't go to wired right away. It was probably over 6 months that we started to explore some options. So we began with just realizing that distance is a big issue with EMF. So starting to increase our distance with where our Wi-Fi router was, where our cell phones are kept, pretty simple things like that we began with. And then it slowly progressed. I know a big one that was tricky for a lot of people, and for my wife in particular, was the baby monitor. So we had a 2-year-old at the time, and then another year later we had our son. So we had 2 little ones around, and it was they were only about our house wasn't that big, they weren't that far away, but
Yeah.
you've become so accustomed to, needing this video camera on your child the whole night. So that was a big, a challenge for us to sort of, I should say, more for my wife to sort of get used to. But it was an education that sort of needed to happen, which on a microcosmic scale was really good learning for me in how to try and communicate these ideas to others, and to, I guess, not expect that someone might be in the same frame of mind as me, that just wants to jump in and totally change their whole life around right away. It's the process, I guess, for people. So that was good learning that came in our situation.
And did you start to notice improvements in your health or your family's health or in the household?
It was, now we never had anything that was terribly symptomatic. So when these EMF sort of issues were coming up in this testing, it was nothing that we could, at least on initially, sort of pinpoint, oh, this sickness has gone away or something like that. It wasn't as drastic as that. But what we did notice was when it came back on, and there was more, it's sometimes hard to put your finger on, but there was just seemed to be some more behavioral issues with our kids, and they're great, but it seemed the patience wasn't there, or there was just some small things that were coming up that we started to sort of make note on. Or when we'd go and visit the grandparents at a house where it's more typical, where they've got Wi-Fi and devices all over the place and they're all of this, we noticed some differences. And to this day, now it's pretty clear when we're in a house that has everything kicking off the way that most houses normally do, and then we come back to our place, which is a significantly different environment, we notice a big change. And mostly what we notice is behavior.
So you mentioned building biology, and for those listeners who don't know, we've covered building biology actually in depth. We've talked about it in a few episodes, but in depth in episode 6 with Stephen Collette. So I'd encourage the listeners who want to learn a lot more about it to go check out episode 6. But Chris, in very brief terms, what is building biology, and what was it in your research following this doctor's appointment that led you to want to focus in it?
That's a good question. So building biology is essentially, how I like to describe it, is the science of how buildings or structures are impacting the health of the people inside them. And so building biology really takes a big sort of holistic view on the different factors that might be impacting the health of those inside the structure. So everything from air quality and water issues and building materials. And I mean, this is all encompassed. And a big thing that they have that I didn't see too many other places was they have an entire sort of pillar of focus on the electromagnetic environment of the structure. So, and this encompasses more than one type of EMF, all new stuff to me that I was terribly interested in and really loved. And they did a great job of training us to not only assess a building, but then offer lots of sort of usable strategies that we can teach people and offer to others, and how to clean up their environment. And it's really the only place that I saw where it was taking a lot of different health factors, including electromagnetics, and putting them all together in a really nice, usable sort of way of figuring out if something might be unhealthy for someone or not.
I'm kind of fascinated. You were an elementary school teacher for 10 years. How did you go from being a teacher into building biology? Like, what did that journey look like for you?
Yeah, it was a journey that came out of a bit of necessity. I was feeling very called towards this new endeavor, and at the same time, I think the universe just sort of was also giving me a push out of my job. So situations happened where I was not happy there, and then really feeling called here, and it was just really clear for me that I needed to make a change, and I needed to kind of devote all of my time into that at the moment. Now, that's not the easiest thing when you've got a young family and you've got a good steady paycheck, and there were some challenges along the way there where we were just trying to figure out, okay, it's clear, Chris, yes, you've got to do this. My wife was very supportive. She's amazing. And she was, it continues to be very supportive, but we we had some things to figure out along the way, just in how to logistically make it work for us. And yeah, which I mean, I guess is just life in general. I mean, we're still figuring it out, as is everyone all the time. So, but it wasn't, super like, sweet, I'm just going to switch my job here and jump into building biology. Yeah, it was a challenge. There was some overlap time when I was studying both, and then time doing some odd jobs here and there. And, you do what you got to do. But yeah, I wouldn't change anything. I've been very happy and very impressed with the Institute and the training they've given us and the support. And just, it's like a family. I mean, everyone's just the best there. So it's been nice.
we know and work with a lot of BBIs, and it is a really great community. And so so this journey that you were on has led you to a project, which is why we wanted to talk to you today. And so it's called the Wishing Tree. So to kick this off, what is the Wishing Tree, and what made you want to take on this project?
So thank you. This is a really exciting project that we've just launched. And I say we, there's another fellow building biologist by the name of Scott Ricker, friend and colleague that I met during our training down in New Mexico back in March of 2020, just before things went crazy. And it's like a few weeks before. And so we met down there in New Mexico and just kind of hit it off and chatting, and it was great. And it wasn't till about 2 months after that, when we were doing our first online seminar with the Building Biology Institute, as I was finishing up some of my training, that Scott threw out the idea to me, hey, how about writing a children's book? And it was really kind of out of the blue. He knew that I was a teacher at the time. He himself has 5 kids. And, there was this sort of common theme that we were both interested in sort of helping out children, essentially. And with my background, Scott just offered it to me as a potential working sort of partnership. And we just started throwing some ideas back and forth for how we might be able to communicate some of these concepts to a young audience. Being the sort of 4 to 10 age range audience, which is what we marketed for, and which we've sort of designed this book to try and gently introduce some of these healthy living principles that building biology sort of focuses on, and how can we introduce these in a really gentle, really fun and exciting way for kids and families. So that's what we've attempted to do, and I'm quite happy with how it's all turned out.
So yeah, and I think maybe you just answered this, but is the book for, is it for children, or is it for parents of children? Is it for the family to experience together? Like, how do you envision the book being used?
I envision it more as the last thing there, more as a family to use together. It's from our testing, it's been really well received by children and families. It's very actionable in that you could just take it as a beautiful, magical adventure story and read it, and maybe there's some things that are going to stick in there, but there's a lot more to it that you can take out. There's some clear messages that are communicated as far as healthy living techniques that you can do. We focus on 3 main sort of areas of focus, and how we do it is through this magical quest that our 2 main characters go on to try and heal their sick mom. And as they're going through this quest, and as they get transported after touching the wishing tree and making a wish for their mom to be healed, they get transported into a magical world, which is kind of them shrunk down in the forest itself. And as they are going through certain challenges to reach this gnome wizard at the end, it's through these challenges that they help some other forest friends, and it's through those challenges that they actually learn what they need to know to help their mom back at their own house.
It's funny, as you're talking about this, I'm envisioning the wishing tree as being like the tent pole of a building biology cinematic universe.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
So yeah, because I mean, I've read some building biology materials. I'm not anything close to an expert. But I know that there is a lot. So what are some, you talked about some of how you approach it, but what are the aspects of building biology that you really try to get across to children, right? Because you can't give them like a BBEC education.
That's right.
Yeah.
As you said, there's a lot to the science as a whole, and you can really geek out on it and get real into the weeds, and it's great. But yeah, how do we boil that down for kids and families in a very just simple way? So we decided to focus on 3 challenges. One that has its learning in air quality, so how we can improve the air quality in our homes. The other one focuses on natural cleaning products, and they have to mix up this potion to clear the slime off the walls to reveal a magical door as they're sort of moving through this quest. And they have to mix the right ingredients, which is actually a recipe that I have in the back of the book for an all-purpose cleaner. Just it uses vinegar, water, and some essential oils. It's very simple but very effective. And so the last one is on EMFs and how we can start to identify different frequencies that are in our home, and the fact that some frequencies are healing and healthy and some frequencies are harmful. And we can't, we use the term feel the invisible in the book, which is actually a building biology term that we use to sort of help people see with our meters what type of radio frequency fields they have around them, for example.
Do they, by the way, I'm just wondering, do they use like do you show them how to use like an AM radio to do what like
good question.
A Safe and Sound Pro would do?
Well, I know, right? That's a good question. We don't, and it's funny, one of our first original drafts of the book was essentially a building biologist going in and doing a home assessment. And so Scott's wife was like, yeah, no one's going to want to read that. We're like, yeah, it's pretty boring. Yeah, you're right. So we really made it more exciting for kids. So it's very engaging. That's what we went for. But we really kind of wove the messages in nicely, I think. And those strategies are clearly there, at least the learning. At the end, once they reach the gnome wizard, he sums it up for them what they've learned, and they bring it back to their mom. I won't give the ending away, but but yeah, it's I think a nice, as we describe it, a gentle introduction, sort of seeds being planted. And then I also give there's an additional information section at the back for more information on what building biology is, links where you can find more information, some recipes, some healthy home tips. And then there's also a link in there where I've included bonus activities for people. So from my teaching background, I can't help it but do that. And so there's activities for people to download to help reinforce some of the concepts from the book and use that either in a classroom setting or at home. Everything from sort of kindergarten to grade 8 age range I put in there. And that's because I'd really love to do some outreach with schools, reading in schools, and start to sort of give people an actionable sort of lesson that they can just, great, I've got the book. Here's the activities already done for me. I can get some of these concepts to kids without me having to think much. So that was our goal there.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm fascinated by this, and I can't wait to read it, because I can't imagine how you distill to a child this, especially the testing around EMF. And I love your example about using the recipe for this. I think it was the second challenge. Very clever. What a clever way to help, not only children, but this is low key for parents. This is like, pay attention to these things through the child. And I think that's really, I commend this, and I can't wait to read it. I think it's such an amazing concept. Also, so the artwork that I've seen is unique and really engaging. Who did the art, and how did you hone in on the style to use? Because there's so many different styles to choose from.
Yeah, that's, first of all, thank you, Stephanie, so much. I appreciate the support there. Yeah, and our artist that we hired, Ethan Roffler is his name, and he is just a beautiful human being and an amazing artist to boot. So we went through and just started looking at a whole bunch of different artwork to see what we thought might complement our sort of whimsical, magical story that we were working with. And so we found that watercolor was a beautiful way. We liked the theme of that. And then we started looking at watercolor artists and eventually landed on Ethan as our first pick. We really enjoyed some of the other stories that he did and thought that it would blend in really nicely. And so we reached out to Ethan. Thankfully, he was receptive, had the time in his schedule at the moment, and it worked out really beautifully. And I'd like to just add one more thing to that. It was such a synchronistic sort of event. It was probably about 6 months after we had hired Ethan. We were just on a chat, Scott, Ethan, and I, as usual, just going over the book. And then Ethan brings up the fact that essentially the story in the book was mirroring exactly what had happened in his life, like 2 years prior, where his wife became really sick. She was diagnosed with cancer. They started cleaning up their home and throwing out their unhealthy cleaning products, getting cleaning ones, working on cleaning up their home to try as she was battling this disease. And it was she's healthy, she's happy, and it was about I want to say 2 months or something after a very small window after she was diagnosed cancer-free, that then we reached out with our book, and Scott and Ethan was just like, what? This is like mirroring my life. And so, I mean, it still gives me goosebumps, to be honest. When he was telling us that story for the first time, I was just like, well, you were meant to be. Like, this is the way it was meant to be. So it was beautiful. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Mhm.
So right now, you're running a Kickstarter to support the launch, and so everyone listening, we have a link to that campaign in the show notes. I'm just wondering, because I mean, like a lot of people, I've thought about Kickstarters over the past year. Why did you choose Kickstarter to help build the word?
So that was actually the advice of our editor. I was like you as well. I'd heard about Kickstarter and was intrigued and followed some projects and that over the years, but it wasn't until our editor suggested it as an option, then we thought, oh, okay, that could be kind of cool. And just with the idea to try and generate a little bit of buzz around it. So we wanted, because with Kickstarter, there's always, or there should be at least a good why as to the why was this product made, or why should I care about it sort of thing. And it has a nice way to sort of consolidate those ideas in a nice package on the Kickstarter page. So you can really in a few minutes get a good glimpse as to what this project is, why was it written, who are these people. And we did about a 3.5-minute video on that page too, that gives a little bit more information on the why to the book and what is building biology, and just quite happy with how that all turned out. So just as a nice package to sort of give a bit more information, because it is a book with a purpose. It's more than just a storybook. So we wanted to be able to communicate that idea along with people seeing it for the first time. So we thought that was a nice way to just deliver the whole package at once.
No, that's cool. And so, and I don't know how comfortable you are doing this, because obviously you're kind of the creative talent behind it, but I'm going to give you here an opportunity to do a little merchandising at the same time. So what are some of the premium packages that you're offering as part of your campaign?
Yeah, good question. So we offer everything from, at some of the lower ends of packages. I mean, you always get some nice bookmarks and stickers and coloring pages and just some nice little bonuses that come along with it. As you start going up in the packages, we offer a set of Building Biology Healthy Home posters. So there's 3 different posters that focus on 3 different aspects of healthy homes, like we did in the book: air quality, EMFs, and cleaning products. As you keep going, you can purchase, I have an online course called the Ultimate Healthy Home Workspace, which is a really full sort of building biology treatment on how to create the healthiest workspace in your home, because often these are our unhealthiest spaces, yeah. Unfortunately. So
both emotionally and physically. Yeah.
That's it. Very true. Very true. And then we also offer some virtual home assessments, getting a special dedications page written in the book. There's a chat you can do with Scott and I on any healthy home or book or any topic. So those are some of the extras that we've included with this campaign. We're just sort of offering those until the end of the campaign on the 21st of December is when it closes.
Okay, excellent. So you mentioned this other guide that you have as one of the premiums, and you have this available on your website. So what is your website for everyone?
So thank you. My website is thehealthierhome.ca. So
thehealthierhome.ca. Excellent. So we'll put that in the show notes as well. And
Thank
are there
you.
any other places you'd like our listeners to try to connect with you?
Sure. I mean, I've got a YouTube channel that I focus, again, mostly on EMF education, and I've got an Instagram and a Facebook, and my website as well. My website's probably the best way. You can find everything there, but I'm active on the social media as well. So any way that someone wants to connect and ask any questions, or just find out some more information on the work that we're doing, I'd be honored if you check any of those out.
Okay, cool. So Chris, thank you so much for coming on the Healthier Tech podcast. This is a really cool project, and I'm really glad that you brought it to us and gave us a chance to chat with you about it. We wish you all the best. It's such a positive thing, and it sounds so cool. So we wish you the best, and thank you so much for coming here to chat.
Oh, thank you so much. It really means so much when we have the support of beautiful people like yourselves, and we're a community together, and it's really lovely, really lovely to see the support. And yeah, honestly, thank you so much for the invitation today and the kind words, and love it. Thank you.
Excellent. Cool. Well, thank you, man. Have a good day. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Okay, so here is our Kickstarter page, and this is where people can find out more information on the project, on the book, why we wrote it, and what some of the fun extras are that we're offering during this launch campaign. So we've got a video here that goes over more information on the why and what building biology is and everything like that. And then you can scroll down, and with Kickstarter, how it works is we've got the different ways you can support the project on the right-hand side of the page. And then we've got our story on the left. So we talk a little bit about who we are, why we decided to write this book, what some of the extras are that come with the book. And this sort of gives a bit more of a picture as to why we've done this. If you are going to support, which we would be honored if you would, you can click this button in a few places where you can click back this project. And when you click this button, you'll be brought to a page where you can select different rewards for the book. So we offer different packages for people, and whatever is in that package, it's included on this page here. So you can pledge $10 just to stay in the loop. If you feel that this is a great project, but don't need a copy of the book or anything, you just want to help support it. That's what some of these earlier stages are like. $20 pledge, you get the ebook edition along with some coloring pages. Moving up, the first pledge amount where you get the book is the $35 pledge amount. You get a hardcover book, you get the ebook along with it, you get a bookmark, you get some stickers, you get coloring pages. Of course, a great big virtual hug from us on everyone, because we are so grateful for any support at all. And then moving up, you can pledge a little bit more to get a signed copy. Pledging a bit more, we offer digital posters for a healthier home. So these go through the three main categories of focus that the book focuses on for a healthy home, and that is air quality, healthy cleaning products, and electromagnetics, or EMFs. And so we've designed a poster that outlines the issues within your home and some strategies that you can use to create a healthier space in that respect. Then moving up, you can get 2 copies of the book. And with the $150 Health Nut package, these are for people who are really into learning a little bit more about building biology. And with this course, you get access to my online course, which is a really full treatment course on creating a healthy space within your home, in particular, a healthy home workspace. And we go over a whole bunch of stuff in there. And moving up, again, we've got 2 more higher packages. One where you can have a chat with Scott and I on any topic to do with building biology or healthy homes or the book itself. And our final golden supporter big package is you get 3 copies of the book, you get a consultation and a personalized living space plan. So we will go over what some areas of focus are in your home and give you actionable solutions to create a healthier home. You will get your name printed on a personalized thank you page in the book. You get the online course, the posters, and all the other fun stuff as well. So those are all our packages that we are offering.
Excellent. Thank you so much, man. This is really great. And we hope everyone listening and watching goes for the $500 package.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Healthier Tech Podcast. Remember to check the show notes for all the links and resources mentioned in the show. Please like and subscribe to the Healthier Tech Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. Get your free quick start guide to building a healthier relationship with technology and our latest information at healthiertech.co.